the group of you in drill space, and everything appears to be fine.
Yay. Fortune's probably in the armory cleaning everything.
Appears fine.
Mm-hmm. Gogo knows she's on the right track now.
Gogo's also upset as she thought that before also, and then wasn't.
You definitely know, like, you were somewhere, but you're not sure where.
I think, I mean, obviously she's back on the course now, but I think that if Oha's still on the computers, whatever.
Yeah.
I think that she would have her, if she could, download and send all that information from the period of time in which right before she dropped out.
Yeah.
So she can later figure out what the fuck happened.
Yeah, and I think she does send all that to you. And I think that as she's like, you know, pulling the data stick out to like bring it over to you, she walks over to you and she says, "It was strange. There was, well, we weren't nowhere." She kind of like plugs the data into your console and like brings it up, and she says, "Best I can tell, we were somewhere in this area." And she circles a couple of hexes on the galaxy map that appear unmapped. She says, "There was a gravity well. We got caught in it. Drug us in, but there's no way we should have been there that quickly. As far as I can tell, we're on the right path now, but there's something there. I think that if we do our calculations, we might be able to go back safely."
Yes, we'll be the new Star Explorer.
Yeah, and so what she does is she highlights a couple of regions where her preliminary investigation told her you might have been. Let's get a good token out. Let's see. Oh, this is a good one.
Oh,
Yeah.
goody.
I like it.
Horrifying all at the same time.
So she suspects that you ended up in one of those 3 hexes. But she can't narrow it down. She's not smart enough to... Well, she is smart, but she's not knowledgeable enough on these things because, remember, navigating uncharted space is literally a death sentence.
Sure is.
But we accidentally got there and accidentally got back.
And we accidentally got there and skillfully got back.
Yeah, hold on.
Let's not diminish.
Unaccidentally get there and maybe do it safely.
Yeah, I mean, I think that...
Guys, we found Earth. Let's go.
Right? I think Gogo puts that in the, like, the to be continued folder.
Sure.
On her compad. And then continues on to their intended destination.
Yeah. So we have that wonderful time again where we have 3 days in transit where I ask you all what you are doing during that period of time. Just so everyone is aware of how healing works, each day, full day that you recover, you gain 1 hit point back. Very slow in this system. Now, you guys can spend a bunch of credits and use a bunch of med kits and get all the way up there. We can make all those rolls. That's totally fine. Just understand that's credits you're spending, right?
Oscar feels fine.
Yeah.
That's...
Fortune would probably ask for some healing.
Okay. So
it takes how many days again?
It takes
weeks,
3.
right?
It's 3 days to
3
get
days.
to because you guys have a spike 2. Takes 3 days to travel 1 jump. Doesn't matter if you jump once or twice. It's just 3 days, no matter what.
Okay, so I think first one I should heal myself.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Roll that tech med check.
Yeah.
2d6 for you, Dr. Fisher.
So +7. So
So,
I can.
what
I'm
kind of roll
still a
does
bit
it take?
sore, but I can now fully operate on everyone else.
What kind of roll would it take to accidentally determine that several people have radiation poisoning?
Well, it depends on who's going to Dr.
not
Fisher for healing.
Metagame it. Yeah.
So, like, yeah, so I assume, and this is just me assuming, because I don't think this is really metagaming. You guys know you were exposed, like, you weren't just exposed to radiation poisoning, right?
Yeah.
There's also that other weird stuff that you were exposed to.
Yeah. I'd
Uh,
probably go in and ask.
So, yeah, there's probably like a full
For a
checkup
project.
moment. Right, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to have my bioscanner on anybody that I'm healing. So
then you would notice
Yeah, you notice
Reasonably.
the...
that you
Yeah, with an 8, definitely, Dr. Fisher. You notice reasonably that you're experiencing mild signs of radiation poisoning. You probably notice like some just some abnormalities in the cells around your wounds and stuff. So you'd have to treat that separately, obviously, of just naturally healing, because radiation sickness isn't one of those things that just goes away.
God
Are
dang.
we sure? It is the future.
well, it goes away if you die,
In like
right?
a couple of hundred years afterwards, yeah.
Actually, yeah. It doesn't.
No, I mean
really.
you are irradiated, not radioactive.
Ah, true. Good point.
Like, you presently don't. I mean, you pose risks to the
Sure.
crew, but for totally different reasons. The turtles were radioactive.
Correct.
That's the problem.
Correct.
Okay.
Yes. So first day would be at least making sure there's no gaping holes in people.
Okay. So do you want to
So
heal Fortune first?
Shan first.
Yeah, let's do fortune first, and then I'm not getting contaminated weird stuff on stuff.
Well, I might already be. I know I probably have radiation sickness, and then we determine I might have some
Nice.
sort of
3d6 health for Fortune. And also you can do like a preliminary scan while you're doing that.
Yeah.
So you identify that Fortune has the same kind of tinge of radiation sickness that will need to be treated.
Sure.
Do I also have some sort of?
Yeah, so there's also the other concern, and this is the same with you, Dr. Fisher. The two of you were exposed to whatever this strange disease that Havarti had, that seemed to essentially kind of eat him from the inside. And I think that what you probably notice is like maybe you run some blood work, right? And you notice that your white blood cell counts are extremely high.
Despite having been irradiated.
Right, yeah. It's
Which is
yeah.
like extra bad.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Somehow your diminished immune system is still in overdrive.
Yeah.
So who's that?
Both of you.
Oh, good.
Chan technically
yes,
was exposed to, but
It's Chan.
he doesn't really have white blood cells, so
He doesn't have blood cells.
correct.
He doesn't have blood.
Correct.
Rude.
Brilliant.
So yeah, I mean, like, general causes you would know, Dr. Fisher, is forms of cancer can cause that. Some parasitic infections, some viral infections can cause that sort of thing to occur. But yeah, I think that in what Matt said, because I don't know if Oscar would say that, but what Matt said, you would also know.
Definitely not Oscar saying that.
You definitely would know that it is abnormal to have been exposed and be experiencing both of these things simultaneously.
Yes. Yeah, I know it's not just I have mild radiation.
Yeah, there's two different things at work here.
Right. Yes. So, fortunately, the hole in your side has been patched up, but I will definitely need you to come in tomorrow as well for further treatments.
Yeah.
Okay.
Dr. Fisher, can you make me a clock, please? I would like
Okay.
a 0 out of 1 clock for radiation, and a 0 out of 1 clock for Tan sickness. Now, if you would like, you could spend your time in transit to work on those, even this transit time, despite all of the narrative stuff that's going to happen.
Sure. I think just before that, well, probably by evening of the first day, I would get on a radiation suit once again and ask Chan to come in.
Yeah, he comes dutifully, as he usually does.
Yeah, I try to quote unquote patch him up.
Sure, you want to burn another medkit?
Yeah.
Okay. Ooh. 4d6 for Chan, which will easily bring him to full health, because he wasn't even that far down, I think.
It's a lot easier when there isn't blood spurting out all over the place.
True. Yeah, he only has like 12 health, so. Chan is recovered, which basically consists of everything is bandaged and nothing is exposed. Because that's kind of the best you can do with Chan, right? Like, all of his wounds are bandaged. They're either stitched up, secured, closed.
He's now not going to contaminate.
Correct, yeah.
anything he touches.
That's kind of the best you can do.
Yeah.
Is make him no longer harmful.
Hence, also the reason why I put on that radiation suit.
Yeah.
To do surgery with.
Yep, absolutely. I think that you can see, Dr. Fisher, as you're working on Chan, that the skin that is closest to all of these injuries he's acquired now is starting to show signs of necrosis. It's starting to kind of gain that blackened, hardened look that the creatures from Eurypylos had. Beginning to kind of creep around the wounds that Chan now has.
Fun.
Good times. Anybody else?
I mean, Gogo doesn't require healing, but she would go to him knowing that she probably got irradiated. Just to check in.
Yep. So, differently from yourself and Fortune, Gogo just appears to be showing symptoms of radiation sickness.
Okay.
She does not have that increased white blood cell count and other weirdness going on.
Oh no, I have other weirdness going on, just not that weird.
Well, yeah. The difference between Gogo is she's technically still alive.
Yes. Okay. Yes, go. Slight radiation sickness, but I'm sure I'll be able to concoct something that'll help us all out in that department.
Great. So, I know Chan was in here earlier. How bad was it?
Let's just say that if any normal living being was to suffer a wound like that, then they would be unable to be alive anymore. But, I've sealed up all the wounds, so he's okay.
Hugo just kind of like nods slightly. Okay. Is that it?
Yes, that'll be all for now. So do go.
She's already hopped off and like walked out of there.
Yeah. What about
Also,
yeah, go ahead.
also, I think over her shoulder she goes, "Also, you're welcome."
Well, I don't know if anybody's actually told Fisher what happened, so it's even better that she says that because you have no idea why, Dr. Fisher. You just have like no clue why she said that.
No, when Oscar woke him up, that was the entirety of that conversation.
Yeah. What we heard was the entirety of it.
Yeah.
Like, we need you to work, not to die.
You were dead, now help.
All right.
Anything else, Dr. Fisher?
I guess that's mainly narrative. So
Okay.
Let's get that radiation.
Do you want to try and treat the radiation sickness? Cool, yeah. Tech med check with intelligence here. It's a relatively simple procedure. I'm sure you have materials on board. It's just basically setting up, and it has to be treated probably like each day that you're in transit, right? Like there's sessions to this thing. And an 8 is certainly enough. So those of you that had radiation applied to you, Dr. Fisher is able to take care of that and make sure all of you that had radiation applied to you increase your constitution by 1.
Thank you, Doctor.
Dr. Fisher, that also means you gain your 6 health back.
Yay!
Yeah. Your 6 maximum, not your minimum. You still have to earn all that back. Let's not get hasty.
We're raising the ceiling, not
yeah, exactly. Yeah. Raising the ceiling, not the current.
Yeah, I think then I would probably burn another few credits.
Another med kit? Give me all the credits. Nice. 46. That is a terrible roll.
That is
pretty pitiful.
I'm almost full, so it's
almost full
under
is
average.
better. Fantastic. Great job, Dr. Fisher. You saved the party yet again. I'm sure it was all you. So what about the rest of the crew? Dr. Fisher's pretty preoccupied with all that nonsense.
I think after getting Fisher back on his feet, at least, and then after the initial threat was over, Oscar would have set pretty shortly on tracking down wherever the hell Amelia went to.
Yeah. So, Oscar, you find it difficult to sense Amelia aboard the ship.
Yeah.
I think that how you pick up on her is similar to how originally she was, like, it was brought to your attention. I think that you actually look for the negative energy on the ship.
Yeah.
As opposed to where the living beings are located.
So, I think, I think that having spent enough time on this ship and having encountered that previously, it should be reasonably, if not simple to do. Like, he'd get it by this point.
Yeah.
Like, he'd know kind of what to look for, and he'd be familiar enough that sensing something off would be pretty apparent.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. So by this point, I think, he's probably stepped out of his armor and like done the basic maintenance to get it packed up at least.
Yeah.
So, it, he's not just clanking around the ship in that any longer.
Sure. So she's located on the second floor cargo bay.
Okay.
So you head up the elevator and you get up there and you walk in, and you can see she's got some like empty containers that she's kind of like set in like a little formation to like make like a little house. And as you walk up, you sense that she senses your presence, and she's kind of sitting cross-legged on the floor. Her pack is kind of set behind her, and you see that arrayed in front of her are a bunch of different items that are very meticulously placed. They're very organized. It's very meticulous in its construction. Everything has a place. You see as well that hooked to the corner of one of the cargo containers is an IV pack of this strange kind of like pinkish hue liquid. And you can see the tube runs down into her arm, and you can see she's got a piece of rubber tubing that's cutting or at least limiting the circulation to her left arm. Because you notice that like it's an IV bag, but it doesn't have like a limiter, so she's self-limiting by using the rubber tubing, so that it doesn't all get into her system all at once. And she's like, this is the first time you're seeing her, and this is like, an hour or two after you've gotten on the ship.
Right.
And she's got all that, and you can see that there are these. You can see the ring weapon that she used previously, which you notice now that it's 4 rings that are all interconnected, almost like brass knuckles. And you can see where the like spools of wire come out of them, and there's 2 sets of them. She got those set to the side, and I think that you also see that she has probably like a combat knife that she's like sharpening, because her left arm isn't moving much, and you can tell like it's a little bit reddish or a little bit more dark purple, because she's tan, than her normal hued skin, because there's some circulation, so she's not moving it a whole lot, and she's just sharpening the knife, and she sees you approach, and you kind of you've beaten the check, but you kind of like enter that field of weird void, right? Of like
the spoops.
Yeah, you enter the field of spoops as you kind of approach her, and as you do, I think she probably like looks at you, and her eyes are normal, and she doesn't have those tattoos on her right now. Because remember, the tattoos only come out when she goes spoopy.
Yeah.
So as you get that far, she probably holds up a hand, and she says, "That's far enough."
When she does that, Oscar stops right in his tracks, and he sits down cross-legged on the floor and pauses a moment to see if she says anything else.
Yeah, she's watching you, and I think she sets like the combat knife on the ground, and you can see she kind of looks up at the IV bag, and she kind of like flicks it a little bit to get some air bubbles up to the surface, and then she looks back at you and she says, "Where are we going?"
Well, Amelia, yes?
She nods.
We haven't... Things were complicated back at your home. We weren't formally introduced. You
Do we
can
need
call
to
me
be?
Oscar.
Perhaps.
Only if you wish. Where would you like to go?
Well, determined there are only two reasonable scenarios. You are not Barba. This is a West Wind style ship that we are on. Although it is freelance, judging by the signatures, it either means that you are mercenaries, or perhaps working for West Wind under some pretenses. If the former, you were probably sent by my father. If the latter, then, well, you perhaps do not know what you hold.
So during this, when she says you're probably not Barba, he shakes his head, slowly, and he's following along with what she's saying. And he says, "You are a very bright young girl."
Of course, I was built this way.
He notes built, but he doesn't push that line of inquiry for the moment. He says, "We are associated with Westwind and accepted a contract to remove people safely from a conflict zone.
Yes.
Beyond that, I will admit I know nothing of you."
That seems to make sense. My father would not have wanted to tell what you were retrieving. Tell me, is Neko aboard?
Oscar, he was one of the people that saw him poking his head out.
Yeah.
Okay. He says, as far as I'm aware, my colleague took him with us. I haven't seen him since we've been on board, but I believe Neko to be safe.
Good. And we have left Havarti's corpse?
He sighs a bit and he says, "You're aware of what happened to your brother then?"
Of course. I was the one who did it.
He indicates, however physically he can, that he wants her to continue with that. Like, he maybe cocks his head a little bit.
Sure.
And says nothing. Does she continue, or?
Yeah, I think that she says,
he's, just to be clear, he's doing his best to look like he is taking that as a matter-of-fact statement and not be like, what?
Yeah, and she said, he was suffering. The Negro Mortem. It is deadly to my people. Well, most of them. Not me.
And you put him out of his suffering then?
Yes,
before the disease could take him?
Yes, I stopped his heart while he was sleeping. He did not feel anything.
You say it's lethal to Ton. What about other species?
I do not know of Sriek. Of humans, it is known to cause flu-like symptoms. Fever, diarrhea, irritable bowels. In worse cases, perhaps vomiting, blood in the stool.
He nods and he says, "I'm sorry to hear of Havarti's fate.
Do not be sorry.
However,
It means that I won.
was Havarti also built, you said? Was he like you?
I am the prototype. He was the first run. To put it in such bland terms. I told Father that he would never be as good.
I see. Amelia, do you wish to go back to your father?
I'd very much like to not die. So yes. I have enough supplies, and you see her, she like looks in her pack, and she goes, for perhaps a couple of weeks.
So, sorry, she said, I just want to make sure I'm clear. She said, yes, so she doesn't die. She
Correct.
wants to go back.
Correct.
Okay.
That is what she said.
Okay. It's kind of an important point, and I wanted to make sure that I was clear on that.
Uh-huh.
He says, we didn't get details about where he is. How do we return you to him?
I'm certain that you were given a drop-off point. I assume a handler will come and pick me up.
Are you, says, is it only these supplies of yours that are necessary? Or is it that you genuinely wish to be back with your family?
She kind of like, her head cocks to the side and she says, what sort of question is this? Is a will to live not enough in Sriak culture?
He says, it is sometimes all I have to go on myself. I'm just trying to understand the situation.
You will not.
You might be surprised.
Perhaps. I am not yet. And probably at that point, her eyes flash, and the tattoos begin to appear on her skin, and she looks down. And as she does that, her hand darts out. You see her grab a syringe, and she slams it into her neck and injects herself. And it's kind of the same like pinkish substance that you see coming out of the IV bag. And she kind of, her eyes close, and when they open again, they are normal. And she removes a syringe from her neck and holds she just holds her fingers to stem the bleeding. She says, would be advised to tell your Sriek that she will die if she continues to attempt to probe me. I do not wish it, but sometimes I cannot control the urge.
We'll relay this to her.
Good.
Is that what happened in your room?
Similar.
I have to say, I have been through a lot. Beaten up by dinosaurs. Shot more times than I can count. Never stabbed by a little girl.
Well, then the only thing I can say is Pray that next time you either don't feel it or don't provoke it.
The psionics. That was it.
I think she just nods.
Noted. And he says, "We'll bring you to your father. In the meantime, more appropriate lodging is available to you if you wish it."
She looks around, she says, "This is suitable and defensible. I will remain here. Also, it will allow me to control Neko should he raid."
Good. I will see if I can find him.
He will be drawn to me soon enough. But yes, the sooner the better. I would hate for any injuries to occur.
Should it be useful to you, we do have a medic on board. Don't hesitate to ask anything you need.
He would be woefully inadequate.
I think he does. He laughs because he believes her. He like chuckles at that and he nods, and then I think he gets up to leave, at least for now.
Yeah, and I think as you
Says,
leave, she says, "You, the one called Oscar. I would like to see the green-haired woman. She has something of mine."
Yeah, he nods again, and he says, "I will see that she comes up."
And also, the one who is not alive.
What of him?
I would like to see him too. He may be useful.
I will send both the green-haired one, Gogo, and Shan along with her.
Good.
Understand that she speaks for him. It is an interesting relationship.
I have seen her control.
Nods again. Take care of yourself, Amelia.
I will be fine.
And he goes back down to the
Yeah.
Probably walks up to the cockpit to, assuming that's where Gogo is at presently.
Or taking the longest hot shower of her life. One of those two places you will find Gogo.
Well, if she's not there, then he will wait patiently. Rather
2 hours later.
Yeah, exactly. 2 hours later.
So much steam.
Yeah. It actually just comes like out of the room and fills the entire ship.
Yeah. I don't mean that he literally waits. He just doesn't go interrupt her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you find Gogo at some point.
Yeah, after a pot of coffee and some heavy thinking.
Amazing.
So true.
Says, Gogo. Amelia wishes to see you.
Me? Why me? And she's like shaking out her hair,
Yeah. He says, I didn't ask, but she's clearly mature beyond her years. She knows what she wants.
Did she seem upset?
No. If I thought she was hostile, well, we wouldn't be having this conversation now.
Okay, good.
She also wishes to see Chan. Why, I'm even less certain, but maybe stick by his side until she's off the ship.
Gogo's eyes just narrow and she stops shaking out her hair. She just says, yes, she will not touch him. Don't you worry.
He just maybe subconsciously he just groans a little bit, and he's like, yes, let's try to avoid as best we can any conflict, but if necessary, comms. She's up in the second cargo bay.
Gogo's face goes back to normal. And she's like, great. She just drops the towel onto the floor and continues to walk. And I guess I go pick up Jan and go to talk to her.
Yeah, so as Chan's like following you, he's like, Gogo, where are we going?
The little girl Amelia. Apparently she wants to talk to us. Is that okay with you?
Yeah, and you see that his head kind of lowers a little bit, and he says, yes, that is fine. Gogo.
She stops in her tracks and turns around because he usually doesn't address her that way. Yes, Jan?
I am your warrior, correct? To protect you from threats?
Not... I mean, why? Why do you ask?
She is strong. If battle ensues, promise me that you will flee.
If battle ensues, Chan, we have far more problems than me needing to flee. Don't worry. Just keep it cool, okay? She kind of like punches him in the shoulder.
Yeah, he kind of like looks at his shoulder. He says, I'm sorry, did I offend you? Apologize. I will do better next time.
No, Chan, it was a joke. She like links her arm in his and she's like, let's go. She's probably waiting or whatever. She like marches off.
Yeah, so you head up to the second floor and you see a similar scene, except I mean, he didn't tell you about like the IV bag or anything, but we as the people recognize the IV bag is now it's now like a burnt orange color. It's clearly a different substance, and it's going into her other arm, into her right arm this time. And again, she's got the rubber tubing kind of locked in place so that it doesn't filter in too much as you approach. But the same scene occurs.
Yeah, I think Gogo strolls up and she goes, huh, it's been a while. Think I could take a hit? Assuming that it's like legitimate drugs.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah. She probably looks at you and she says, she looks at the, like, you indicate to like the IV bag and she looks at it and she goes, your blood would boil. That would not be pleasant. But if you wish to die, that can be arranged.
Gogo just kind of like holds up her hands. She's like, whoa, didn't know you were that hardcore. She kind of like just backs off a little bit.
You have something of mine. There's a picture.
Yeah, I kept it safe for you. She kind of like rummages through her cargo pants and finds it.
Please
Tosses
return
it to her.
Yeah. And she like catches it, and you see as she does, she kind of like smooths out the edges very meticulously and kind of sets it in like a location in her little array in front of her. And she just nods and she says, "Thank you. You may leave."
You know, I have some of the rest of your father's work, if you wanted that too.
I'm forbidden for looking at.
Why is that?
Not for mine eyes.
Can't tell me you're not curious.
No.
Little girl, not curious about what others tell her she's not able to look at. That's a first.
I have curiosities. Just obedient. Unlike someone else here. And her eyes like flick to Chan. And I think she says, "You, one who is not alive. Why did you not crush me? You have strength. It is unrefined. It is there." Chan kind of like looks between the two of you, but his hands, you see his hands kind of like ball into fists. Go.
Yeah, I think Gogo puts a reassuring hand on his fist. She's like, it's okay. Just answer her.
And he goes, "As I was instructed not to." And you see the girl, she kind of like cocks her head to the side and she goes, "Ah, so you are a warrior. There is no shame in that." "I would like to train with you." Chan kind of like looks like, "What?" Kind of like looks at you, Gogo.
Gogo has the same what face.
Yeah, and I think Amelia continues and she says, "You are the only one of physical strength aboard the ship that can match me. If I do not train, then my body will degenerate. I will refrain from killing you, although I do not know how that would be possible in your current state. We're also a curiosity."
I hear you. I think she like says, so knowing Chan's condition, I think Gogo would say, I don't think you fully understand the situation here. You might be getting more into it than you think.
I've been trained to listen for heartbeats in humanoids, creatures. He does not have one. There is no blood that boils through his veins, yet he moves, he walks, he talks. As a normal human. He is clearly no construct. There is nothing so advanced. Trust me, I have seen things. He is an anomaly, but he is strong.
I hear your skin is more susceptible to things than others. Is that true?
Yes. Han physiology limits the things that I can do. But... And she kind of like trails off and like she realizes she almost said something that she probably wasn't supposed to. And she kind of like rephrases and she says, "It can be a boon as well. For ones who train themselves, as I have."
I'm sure. But if you even injure him and come into contact with it, it won't end well for you. And she kind of like puts a hand on Chan to kind of like push him back, just subconsciously.
Yeah.
In her mind, just trying to put space between him and her.
Yeah, and she kind of looks and her eyes narrow and she says, "I will not force him to spar with me. And clearly you make the decisions. If this one wishes to strengthen himself, you know where to find me." I think she like, you see her like, she picks up the ring wires, and she begins kind of like reeling them back up with this little tool, like unspooling, getting out the kinks, rewinding it back up with like this little like Allen wrench thing. And she's like doing that. She's dismissed you from her conversation.
Yeah. Gogo turns to Chan and she just says, "Let's go have a chat." And just like leaves.
Yeah. So you go with Chan, and Chan looks very confused. As he's kind of like following you, and I think he tosses like a glance back over his shoulder, and Amelia's like watching him as he's leaving. Like we get that little like they look at each other, and Chan kind of turns back and follows you out. You go find a secluded place to speak.
Yeah. Which is my room because nobody's allowed in there.
Correct.
Chan, you know I leave this up to you, but... And I think she like goes to give her opinion and then doesn't, and then just ends her sentence with, "I leave this up to you."
Yeah, and I think Chan says, "Already have a training partner. It's Oscar. I don't know why I wish another one, especially not one that's strange." If
Coco smiles when he calls
Because
him
Oscar's
strange.
perfectly normal.
Yeah, exactly. Anyway.
yeah, and I think he says, "It's hard for me to speak ill of future overseer, but I do not like this one. It is easier because she is alien, I believe. I am so used to Oscar at this point, I don't recognize the difference, but I have never met one of her species. Are they all like this?"
No. Not even close. She's, special. Let's just put it that way.
Do not like.
And I think this is the first time that Gogo's ever, like, seen Chan speak so ill of someone.
Yeah, for sure.
And so she's kind of off put and kind of worried. She's like, "Well, you certainly are allowed not to like her. But what is it exactly that's getting you so upset?"
She is unnatural. Not in the way that you and I are. Something else. She is there, but not there.
Perhaps we need someone else's opinion on this, but it does seem like you've made your decision, so no training then. It is.
Yes, that seems wise. Thank you. And he says it like you've made the decision.
Right. She's like, "Yes, sure."
Yeah. So I think we perhaps like zoom out on that. And we flash. Do you have anything, Fortune? Do you want to make a check? You have some
Yeah, I would like to make a laser rifle. I've got
laser
one left.
rifle, right? And this is the last one, right?
Last one on the board on the ship. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that what have we been doing? We've been doing the
It's a 6 or higher on
your
profession
profession check, right? Yeah. And this one is with intelligence, I believe.
I don't remember. I didn't write it down.
No, I'm pretty sure it's intelligence.
Yeah.
Because you're like trying to learn how to mass produce these, right? That's the goal
Yeah.
here. Yeah.
Well, some bitch.
Yeah. So maybe like you spend more time recovering than you expected,
Yeah.
and so like you don't have the time to apply yourself fully
Mm-hmm.
to the task at hand. So we hear some things breaking from the armory. uh, in Fortune's frustration. And I think that we see the last scene before we end for the night is Thune. You know, we bloop into the system. And the general spam messages begin to flow in rapidly, right? But the one important one, or two actually important ones. One goes to Gogo and one goes to Dr. Fisher. Dr. Fisher, you get an encoded message from a number you don't recognize.
That's always fun.
It's your typical thing. And it says, "Did you retrieve the data?" Now, I'll remind you, you do have like
An ambassador's data slab.
yeah, you have that. You have a data slab that's like completely separate from the system.
Yeah, I think I boot up the slab and just have a, brief peruse on what
Yeah.
the data actually is.
Yeah. Why don't you roll a computer check for me real quick?
Oh boy.
With wisdom in this case. You're searching for data actively.
I
Might as well re-roll it.
yeah.
You're not gonna do much worse.
Let's hope.
Yeah.
There we
Okay.
So you find a report, Dr. Fisher, that whoever owned this computer was building specifically to like give a briefing on Sasha.
Oh.
And it doesn't have some specifics that were kind of left out. It's kind of more of a big idea presentation. But it is far more information than anyone outside of this. Because you can tell, like, it's got the classified stamp all over it, basically. So, arguably, the answer to the question that you were asked is yes. Or at least to some degree.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I think that's all I reply is yes.
Okay. So they'll get back with you next session. But Gogo, your message is a video message. And you can see already it's from Felix Valentine.
I had a feeling.
Do you open it?
After a big deep breath in, Gogo clicks the button.
Yeah. The video you receive is it's pitch black wherever the video is being taken. And it's kind of in that weird, like, night vision. And it kind of turns on, and then you hear, like, a rustle, right? And you see, like, some dust fall from the ceiling, which actually looks, like, real close. Like, it looks like the ceiling is only maybe a couple of feet above wherever the rustling is. And the camera turns around, and you see Felix's face. And you can see that he's wearing an exosuit. And you can see the helmet where the faceplate is cracked. And you can see that there's blood, like, dripping down his head and out of his mouth. And he says in, like, a raspy voice, he says, "Daughter, I hope that you receive this in good health. Just just to say that I love you." And then, like, you see the image kind of flickers out, and he goes, "Here's my compad. I forgot to charge it before I left. You know, I'm always forgetting." I'm always forgetting these things. glad that you did not come on this one. You're right. It was far too dangerous. And the video kind of like, you can see like it drops a little bit, like the video like almost like if the comp head like drops onto his chest, and you can hear kind of like the ragged breath fall. And it plays for, you can see like if you tap on the video, you can see there's like a minute left. And like if you go through the whole minute, there's nothing else that's said. It's just the ragged breathing of Felix. And that's where we end our show for the day.
Yay.
Jesus Christ. Oh boy.
So time zones are a thing.
Correct. Time zones are a thing.
Yeah.
Why is yours a week behind?
I don't know. Well, remember, you don't, like, the spring one is off too.
Yeah.
Because remember, I reminded you this last spring when we went forward.
You did, which was actually very helpful.
I should have done it this time. I apologize. I take full responsibility for you not being here on time.
I also forgot that it was today/yesterday.
True. When I asked you, you also didn't know that the time changed. So, to be fair, this might be a dual problem here.
I mean, who knows when the clocks actually change? You only overhear someone else talking about it.
It's true. You know, that's actually a good point. I can feel the angry messages incoming, so I'm going to go ahead and go do outro. Thank you all for being here. Oh, hi, Megan.
Hi, hello.
God damn it, Jordan.
What?
I didn't
do this!
You did everything.
No, you didn't. You didn't.
See?
You also didn't have to, though.
Well, Oscar is gonna rest easy knowing that he volunteered to go on whatever this was.
True.
However, he may still have to because we have no confirmation that whatever this was for was actually completed.
Also true.
Yeah. So, you know, maybe Felix died for positively no reason. It's an option.
I'm gonna do outro. I'll see you all.
Can
Well,
we
actually,
experience first?
Yes, experience. Everybody gets 1,000 experience. Congratulations.
Yay.
Cool. Actually, stay by 1 second because we have to talk about next week. So,
Yeah.
1 second, and we'll be right back.
All right.
And I'll talk to you guys in just a minute. Goodbye.
Adios.
Bye.
Later.
All right. Hello, everybody. Glad you all could be here. It was a wonderful time today. Thank you for all the support today. I really appreciate that. That was a lot of fun. This whole session was a lot of fun, actually. I really, really enjoyed it. So thank you all. And I hope you guys enjoyed it as well. If you'd like more, stay tuned. We play almost every Sunday live. And then if you want to do things like watch it on YouTube, you can do that too. Thank you all for being here. And have a wonderful, wonderful day, night, weekend, afternoon, work week that you may be having. Toodaloo.